The Nintendo Game Boy was first introduced in 1989 and wasn't completely discontinued until 2003. That's a long lifespan. And during that time, it sold nearly 120 million units of the various models that they produced. The Game Boy is the third best selling game console of all time, and the second best selling handheld, right next to the Nintendo DS, which takes that top spot in the handheld category. Now, with the crazy demand for Nintendo's handhelds over the years, many companies wanted to jump into this category of gaming device and compete, but none had shared quite as much success. The Sony PSP is the only purely portable game system that came close. They sold over 80 million units. Now, ever since the 90s, yeah, there's been a lot of competition, and pretty much all of them have failed. One such failure was the Tiger Gamecom. This piece of crap was first introduced in 1997, and it did have some firsts for a handheld that you would think should have helped it sell. It was the first console with a touchscreen, the first handheld to have internet access. But none of this mattered. This turd sold a measly 300,000 units and was only sold for about 3 years. Tiger just couldn't let it go with these things, you know? The Gamecom was essentially their follow-up to the shitty R-Zone, which released a couple years prior and then was discontinued right before the Gamecom came out. Yeah, that one sucked too. Now, they had tons of commercials back in the day. I remember them from Tiger back in the 90s for these things. It was all glorified nonsense. The Gamecom had a commercial I saw all the time back in the day. There was this little dude who came out onto a stage and began belittling an audience of potential customers. He was calling them idiots and slackers, essentially calling them out as a bunch of nerds for wanting to play video games. The message was lost on that one. Not really a great way to advertise your new handheld to an audience, Tiger.
I'm surprised for all the slackers, but nothing better to do than play games and surf the net all day. Gamecom! Wiggle put shut eyes on these babies! It speaks!
Let's rock.
Begs to be touched! Wires you to the internet! And it plays more games than you idiots have brain cells! Any question? Then play! Next question! That's ghetto!
Gamecom, the ultimate portable gaming system.
So the Gamecom really sucked balls. Sure, it had a higher resolution screen than the Game Boy, but was just a black and white screen capable of 4 levels of gray. And initially, it had no backlight, but they did introduce a version later on that had one, and it actually didn't do much of anything at all to help see the screen. Maybe that was on purpose, because once you figured out how to actually see the shit this thing displayed, you probably wish you hadn't. With video games, it's not always about the graphics. It's about the gameplay and how well the game runs for a lot of people. And man, a Gamecom could show off some neat visuals, I'm not gonna lie. And it actually had voice samples too for a lot of games. But holy crap, I'm not sure what frame rate this thing is capable of, but I'd imagine it's no greater than 2 frames per second. Sonic the Hedgehog. He's supposed to be a fast mofo and have smooth gameplay, but in the Gamecom, he's slow, can barely run up a 15-degree angle, and just stutters along. In order to see the gameplay, you need to have some powerful-ass lighting, as all the shades of gray just kind of melt into each other, making it even more difficult to see the slow action that's going on the screen. These games sucked. They play like ass. I don't know why anyone would want to even bother with this thing in 2020, let alone back when it was released, when there were just so many other options out there. It's sad that when you actually go back and play the Tiger original LCD handhelds, and it's a more enjoyable experience than the Gamecom. How the hell are you supposed to play Resident Evil with tank controls on a 2D plane? The fuck? There's just no nostalgia for this thing. If you say otherwise, you're either delusional or you're one of the people who made this crap and just want to defend it. You know, they released a total of 20 games for this thing. They had about another 20 planned, such as ports of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Metal Gear Solid, Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. Yeah, I'm glad those beloved franchises didn't get garbage ports on this device to taint their legacy. Due to the reception and poor sales, all those games were scrapped. Part of the problem here was Tiger just wanted to do everything themselves, acquire licenses, develop all the titles in-house. Even though there were companies out there who expressed interest in developing their own games for this device, Maybe they could have done a better job. I don't know. Tiger just sucked the fun out of gaming with their crappy devices kids would receive because a lot of their stuff was cheaper than just going out buying a Game Boy and some carts. Many birthdays and holidays were celebrated with the disappointment of opening up a gift and seeing that damn Tiger logo spit in your face.